A ceasefire was supposed to stop the war. But fresh American airstrikes have now hit Iranian targets again. Therefore, the fragile peace deal hanging by a thread could collapse at any moment. And while diplomats sit across negotiating tables, oil sanctions are tightening, military tensions are rising, and the world's most important shipping route, the Strait of Hormuz, is once again becoming a global pressure point. Today, we break down the dangerous chess game unfolding between the United States and Iran, and why one wrong move could shake the entire world economy. If both countries truly want peace, why are missiles still flying? Ceasefire. Or countdown to another war? For weeks, negotiators from Washington and Tehran have been trying to lock in a temporary ceasefire agreement. Reports suggest both sides were discussing a 60-day truce. The proposed deal included reopening shipping lanes, reducing military escalation, and beginning talks over Iran's nuclear program. But neither side fully trusted the other. And then, everything became more complicated. Fresh U.S. military strikes targeted Iranian launch sites near the Strait of Hormuz after American officials claimed Iranian drones threatened regional shipping routes. Iran immediately called the attacks a violation of the ceasefire spirit. Still, surprisingly, Tehran did not walk away from negotiations. At least not yet, because both countries understand something terrifying. A total collapse of talks could ignite another regional war. Is this diplomacy, or just a temporary pause before something much bigger? Most people have never heard of the Strait of Hormuz. But this narrow waterway may be one of the most important places on Earth. Roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes through it. If the strait closes, oil prices explode, global shipping slows down, and economies around the world feel the shock. That's exactly why every new headline about Iran sends oil markets into panic mode. Recently, reports about a possible ceasefire caused oil prices to fall sharply because traders hoped shipping would normalize again. But fresh military action quickly brought uncertainty back, and uncertainty is poison for global markets, especially when missiles, drones, and naval forces are all operating in the same narrow corridor. One mistake, one miscalculation, could trigger a chain reaction nobody can fully control. What happens to the global economy if this tiny waterway suddenly becomes a war zone? Military pressure is only one side of this conflict. The economic war may be even bigger. This week, the United States announced fresh sanctions targeting Iran's military-linked oil trade. The sanctions hit shipping companies, oil tankers, trading networks, and businesses allegedly helping Iran sell oil secretly. American officials say the goal is simple: cut off money flowing into Iran's military infrastructure. But Iran sees these sanctions very differently. From Tehran's perspective, the U.S. is negotiating with one hand, while squeezing Iran economically with the other. That contradiction is becoming one of the biggest obstacles to peace. Because how do you build trust when both sides are still preparing for conflict? And this is where things become dangerous. Diplomacy and military escalation are now happening at the exact same time. That creates confusion, miscommunication, and massive risk. Can peace negotiations ever succeed when economic warfare never actually stops? The United States says its recent strikes were defensive. Officials claim Iranian drones threatened shipping lanes and regional security. But critics argue the timing could undermine negotiations completely. Imagine trying to finalize a peace deal while bombs are still falling. This strategy reflects a long-standing American doctrine: negotiate from a position of strength. Apply military pressure, apply economic pressure, therefore, force concessions at the negotiating table. Iran, however, has its own strategy. Tehran appears to be balancing resistance with restraint. Instead of launching a massive retaliation after recent strikes, Iran stayed in talks. Why? Because Iran also understands the stakes. Its economy has suffered heavily under sanctions, oil exports remain under pressure, and prolonged instability threatens both its government and regional influence. So now both countries are trapped in a strange reality. Neither side fully wants war. But neither side wants to appear weak either. Who makes the first real compromise without looking defeated to the world? And that's exactly what makes this situation so unstable. This conflict is no longer just about the United States and Iran. The entire world is watching. Because if negotiations fail, the consequences could spread everywhere. Higher fuel prices, economic instability, global shipping disruptions, stock market volatility, and rising military tensions across the Middle East. Countries like China, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and European nations all have major interests tied to the outcome. Even temporary disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz can impact global energy supplies within days. That's why every diplomatic update now moves markets instantly. One headline sends oil prices falling. Another sends them soaring. The world economy is reacting almost minute by minute. Could one drone strike, one tanker attack, or one military mistake trigger a regional war nobody intended? And behind all of this, ordinary people are left wondering, are these negotiations actually leading toward peace? Or simply buying time before another escalation? History shows that U.S.-Iran relations have always moved in cycles. Pressure, retaliation, negotiation, then pressure again. And today, the world may be watching another cycle unfold in real time. The next few weeks could decide whether this crisis cools down or explodes into something much bigger. So, are we witnessing the beginning of peace, or the calm before another Middle East crisis? Because history has shown something terrifying about U.S.-Iran relations, the moments that look the quietest are often the moments right before everything changes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more geopolitical documentaries, global conflict analysis, and deep dives into the stories shaping our world. And tell us in the comments, do you think the US and Iran will reach a lasting deal? Or is this ceasefire already falling apart?